This lesson will be very, very short, period. I don't know why I said period. Actually, it's because I dictate to a transcribing machine and I'm telling it punctuation as I go. I think this is the second time I've done that. This lesson is going to be very short. We're just talking about a very short section in the book about statistical syllogisms. I just want to explain it maybe verbally for you, what's in that section of the book, but there's really not much to this. Statistical syllogisms are very straightforward. I'd like you to be able to identify them and to know about them in the context of the premise and conclusion, that structure that we have for arguments and for reasoning that we've been discussing. So a statistical syllogism is nothing more than an argument that applies a general statement to a specific case. So let's give an example. Most teachers are Democrats. York is a teacher, therefore. By the way, those three little dots there, that's a logical shorthand for the word therefore. It's a symbol for the word therefore. I don't know what it functions as in math, but in logic, that's what it does. So when you read that in the middle of an English sentence, my guess is that's what's going on. Anyways, this is an example of a statistical syllogism. I'm using a probability or a statistic, this general statement that most teachers are Democrats, and I'm applying it to a specific case. That specific case is York being your teacher, or your teacher, your teacher, York. So let's take a closer look at this argument. Again, most teachers are Democrats. York is a teacher. Therefore, York is a Democrat. I'm concluding that York is a Democrat. Why? Well, I've got two premises, that most teachers are Democrats and that York is a teacher. And from that, I'm concluding that York is a Democrat. Now, because this is a generalization, and I'm running from a generalization here, I'm going to have premises and conclusion indicators that follow that verbiage. So notice that teachers are what we call our premise population. They're not our sample. York as a teacher is not our sample. He's actually a population, okay? And when I say that most teachers are Democrats, notice in the first premise, I'm making a comment about teachers. That's the group of things. That's the population that I'm talking about, is teachers. Now, I'm saying of them that they have this, remember, attribute of interest, that is being Democrats, right? And now I've got also here a conclusion individual or a conclusion specific, the thing that I'm attributing that attribute of interest to. So we call that the conclusion individual, okay? And that, who's that? Well, that's going to be York, okay? And what's going on here is just that we're noting that the higher the proportion, or something to note here, I should say. I'm not speaking appropriately. Sorry. Let me slow down. Something to note here, and remember that we're talking about inductive arguments. Something to note here is that an inductive argument is one in which the premises of a conclusion make the conclusion likely. They don't guarantee it, but they make it likely, or they are supposed to. And we assess inductive arguments as stronger or weaker, as either strong or weak, or stronger or weaker. But they're graded on a curve. They're graded relatively in terms of the strength of the argument. Well, the strength of the argument about most teachers are Democrats, York is a teacher, York is a Democrat. Notice that that argument can be made stronger or weaker depending on the percentage of teachers that are Democrats. So if we start off noting that 80% of teachers are Democrats, and then add that York is a teacher, how likely is it then that York is a Democrat? Well, that's a strong argument, right? We would probably say there's an 80% chance, okay? It's not clear that there actually is an 80% chance. Maybe more female teachers are Democrats than males, and maybe 90% of females are, and only 50% of males, but there are so few males. I don't know, right? And I'm assuming that York is a male, but Notice that's a fairly strong argument if 80% of teachers are Democrats and York is a teacher. That's a pretty good reason to believe that York is a Democrat. But notice we can make that stronger. What if 90% of teachers were Democrats? Well, that makes our conclusion even more likely. So what we have there then is a stronger argument. Okay? So when we're looking at these, know the verbiage there, but know also, again, that we're talking about inductive arguments, and that general statement, how likely that general statement is, or the statistics behind that general statement, can determine the strength of our argument by determining the likelihood that our individual will have that attribute of interest. Right? Like I said, short lesson, so that's all we've got for that.